Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for clicking on that link. Thank you for joining GMAS Speaks on this special day. This is Easter Monday, the 13th of April 2020. I very much appreciate the fact that you're making out time to listen to me speak in this particular podcast. This podcast is the success pill, is the ninth pill in the 9 pill toolbox kit called Synthesis. Now, my goal is not to feel like I'm trying. My goal is to influence one life, to transform just one life. My goal is to make work a life purpose. I freaking love planning and I love educating. I have taken on a journey that I've become addicted to and also passionate about, to a point that I don't know what stop means. My work involves designing a new support system, and I've done exactly that, and I've called it the Synthesis Toolbox Kit. My work involves helping just one person, come to terms with what their current health and wealth lives are, and getting to work with anyone who is not really sure, or probably someone who is on a journey to optimal health. And that is exactly what I am doing. My work involves transforming one person with my experience and helping just one person use the system, and also for that one person to authentically share with just another person what their experience is, and then for that other person to share with the world in a way that supports their own personal belief in the Synthesis Toolbox system. My work involves helping you realize that your current health and wealth culture medium is probably unhealthy. It's probably not where you want it to be, and that you deserve better. We all do. My work involves going balls to the wall for the success of the Synthesis Toolbox Kit until it comes to fruition. My work, my hustle isn't some feel good, unrealistic hippie dream. I believe the only real thing we should die trying is we die trying to be ourselves. When you authentically be yourself, when you can be yourself and it's authentic, then your natural gifts flow through, and then you really are a human being, not a human doing. And there is nothing more you need to be. Guys, welcome to the last of the 9 pills in the 9 toolbox kit. Welcome to success. This is where we are at today, and I'm going to take you on a journey to see how we can together work as one. Today is the 13th of April. We have a global problem today. We are sitting in and with a pandemic. Our world underneath us is shrinking. It is defragmenting. Our world is eclipsing. It is literally degenerating. There is only one person who can prevent this from happening. It is the person who takes action. It is the person who perceives a different world, a world where the ground shifts from a broken, hard, and infertile ground to one with a healthy clan, to one with sprawling green grass, a world that is like a derelict world with broken walls, with run down structures and dark clouds. It is that person who can shift the world, or his or her world, to a world with bright clouds, a sprawling landscape, and clear horizons. That person, I believe, is you, and it's depicted on this picture that you are particularly, or at this point in time, viewing. It's a transformation from the left hand side to the green right hand side. So in order for us to actually reach for the stars, in order for us to have this new world, we need to embrace the fact that the first step to solving any problem is initially, or at any given point in time, recognizing that there is actually a problem. That is the first step. And there is a second step following after that. The second step to solving any problem is to die. D-I-E. To die to the old and come up with the new. Now, designing a system is what I call the D in you having to die. Implementing that system is what I term as the I. And evaluating its success is what I've termed as the E. So the second step, after you recognize that there is a problem, is to die to that problem. Okay, my favorite book states that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, and that when all things pass away, then all things become new. Now, at the point where all things become new, you are a new creature. You are transformed. This means fueling your mind, your heart with new software. It means focusing on the way forward and stop blaming past systems for your current state of being. It means stop being a victim. It means taking charge and controlling your destiny, taking charge and controlling your future, taking charge and being a person of purpose, taking charge and being in control of your health. That is what it means to die. Okay? Now, I personally believe that you are wealthy when you are healthy. Now, Jima speaks. When I speak in second person, but in particular, myself, Jima Speaks has actually gone through close to 3 years to come up with this system called the Synthesis Toolkit. It is, and it's been a 3-year period that has successfully reversed multiple chronic illnesses in my life personally through the implementing of a personally used system, one that has given the effrontery and confidence to share with you into this journey, which ends up as a success. We are a part of a matrix. Our lives are not science fictions. They are a documented set of events that are scripted, like in creating a movie. So the reason why we have set up this tribe, the reason why we have developed this system is for one purpose, and that is to transform the life of just one person, most especially in the area of optimal health and wealth. We are building on this tribe with the first priority being health, because we believe that with an optimal healthy mind, spirit, and body, the boundaries of optimal wealth will know no limit. Essentially, as my favorite book says, as far as you see is as far as you will get. That's a philosophy that we stand by in this particular tribe. So welcome to the 9th pill. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a 9-pill toolbox series. We are establishing foundations in which we are building this tribe. It's taken me so long to get to this point. However, I'm almost through with the 9th pill. We are a tribe that believe that we cannot live as victims of our past. We cannot live as victims of our genetic makeups or material. We cannot live as victims of our hereditary. We cannot live as victims of a failed global system. It is our purpose in this tribe to get each person we transform with the synthesis pills to think about doing one thing. If each person can have the attitude to sweep clean his or her front porch, and when each person does exactly that, then we will have a clean family, a clean home. When we have a clean family, we have a clean home, then we have a clean neighborhood. When we have a clean neighborhood, I can keep on breaking this down, or rather building this up. When we have a clean neighborhood, then we have a clean street. When we have a clean street, then we have a clean community. When we have a clean community, then we have a clean city. When we have a clean city, then we have a clean nation. And when we have a clean nation, then we have a clean world. However, it starts with transforming one cell at a time, till we have a clean body. Now, to GMASH Speaks, that is the definition of success. So I'm going to take you through this 9th pill in the 9 toolbox kit, and ultimately we have a purpose, is to create a new awareness, a new discussion, is to create a new conversation. So we are creating new conversations, and we are today on the 9th pill, the 9th circle. That's the black circle. We've gone through other 8 circles. We are now on the success pill, and the objective of everything we are doing, that is the primary objective, is to get us to a point of success where we achieve optimal 5-star health and wealth. That is the purpose of this tribe. So now, success being the subject being discussed now. Success is when the activities you do to get you to achieve an end result, which should be your purpose, and in doing those activities, it gets you to that end result at the desired time. So there is a time factor in achieving success. Success is when the activities that you do in order to get you to achieve an end result, that being your purpose, is achieved in that activity. Now, the ultimate intention and end result for that activity should in itself bring you to a state of balance, a state of homeostasis, a place called success. Now, today, our world, our globe, our government, our health system, our education system, our political system, our financial system, our food system, our telecommunications system, our skin care system, and the last system, which is meant to be the one system, or which actually is the one system that we actually all do run to, our religious system. In the current trend of events today, as we stand, where we stand facing this global pandemic, every system that I've mentioned has fallen short of its objective. These are systems that there have been huge investments in the tunes of billions, trillions, and untold time and effort. Now, according to the current operating model that we have today, being the 13th of April 2020, this model has dismally failed us. The system has failed us. Now, there is just one system left that is now going to be a huge thriving system. It's a system that will thrive for those who will take their lives into their own hands and not leave the outcome of their lives to be predicated or to be judged or to be consummated, by the currently established system. We have just one system left, and that is a system that exists between our left ear and our right ear. That is our limbic system acting, and that is going to act or should act as a control center for our consciousness and for our unconscious functions. The limbic system is a system that we need. Everyone needs that system to change our essence and to change our essential human behaviors. So it changes two things: our essence and essentially our human behaviors, especially towards preventative health measures and existing systems. Now, I would like you to think more about self-preservation. I would like you to think about forming new personalities so that we can have new personal realities, so that we can create new subconscious memories, okay, and also create new limits, or even we can take the step to remove, to obliterate past learnings and also past experiences that will not promote optimal health and wealth. So what we have left, and it's actually in our control, is to forge optimal health and wealth. And that is the home that we have, and that is our minds. Our mind houses our subconsciousness. Now, should we not engage the services and expertise of transformation agents? I mean, if you do a Google search, there are so many international specialists, I mean, who are currently championing functional medicine or neuroplasticity or neurogenesis, etc. We have systems, we have transformation agents who are seasoned. It does come with a cost, okay? Now, we need these agents in order to create in us a new subconsciousness. However, we have here a system that I've developed based on my own personal experience called the SUCCESS Toolkit. It's a system that is made available for each and every person to use on a daily basis. Now, we as a society, we as a people, need to engage such established services, like I mentioned, transformation agents, like specialists who are big in functional medicine, or those who are into neurogenesis, or even those who just speak the language of transformation. We need to engage such services and systems, and then do it with an intended goal and outcome. Now, if we do not do this, then we'll be left with no other option than to keep up with the current systems in place. The same systems owned and operated by the Big Five. You've heard me mention the Big Five quite often, and I'm going to mention the Big Five literally throughout all my podcasts. The Big Five here, I'm referring to Big Pharma, Big Foodie, Big Telco, Big Cosmeceuticals, and of course, Big Finance. These are systems based on facts that have dismally failed everybody. They have. However, this is my clarion call to us all. Now, as you listen to this podcast, I would like you to make a note of this. We are yet to see the release of a more disturbing series of events, some of them intended and some unintended. Events that will forever change the course of our lives and also the course of the lives of those who are dear to us forever. We are today end products of a system that has dismally failed every one of us. Today being the 13th of April, I sit back and I evaluate with you guys the event of COVID-19 and see that absolutely none of the systems that I've mentioned, the Big Five systems, or the Big Five players, being pharma, foodie, telco, cosmeceuticals, and Big Finance, None of them, well, not to my knowledge, none of the big five have communicated effectively how we are going to get out of this mess that our vulnerabilities have exposed us. It has no smell, it has no taste, it has no touch, it has no sound, it cannot be seen. Yet COVID-19 has locked us all down. COVID-19 is like an entity that has no smell, cannot be seen, has no taste, like I mentioned, has no sound, doesn't have a feeling. Absolutely, it's a silent invader of our privacies. It's an invader of our bodies. Yet our globe has no answer to it. Our intelligence has no response to it. Our systems have been found lacking, and we ended up being voluntary prisoners to the freedom that we had previously, which has now imprisoned us. The healthy and the wealthy, everyone, rich, poor, black, white, old, young, it doesn't matter what race, what religion, it doesn't matter what philosophy you believe or belong to. We are all locked up in homes, behind walls, hoping that this invader does not settle into our respiratory systems, into our lungs. It does not settle into our inner being. Now, this is the life that our current system has subjected us to. Our respiratory systems are highly being attacked. Now, the question is, what are we going to do about this? I believe, based on the facts that have been presented to us in the last couple of months, that COVID-19 is just a catalyst to major events that we will experience within the next 2 to 10 years. Mark my words, there are some events, most especially events directly that will affect our health, that we in this tribe, we are carefully aware of. And in the context of being aware of the events that are going to unravel themselves, we will be releasing mitigating content to prepare and equip us for the events that are happening very soon. It is not the intention of this tribe to deliberately offend or upset anyone. That is not our intention. It's never been and it never will be. However, we will rather be instruments of transformation, okay? That itself will be initially painful. However, we are stimulated with the end goal and purpose of achieving pleasure. Remember that we say that we humans are moved by pain or pleasure. Now, we as a tribe, we don't want to remain mute and silent and see loved ones perish when there is something, no matter how small, that we could have done. So, what has stimulated all this? Now, what I'm going to do here, so I don't stretch this plot and podcast much further or much longer, I will throw in a quick recap of why I'm actually doing this. The full journey has been covered on my website. That's www.georgemashigo.com, GeorgeMashigo, and also www.gmashspeaks.com. It's covered in the website. So anyone who is interested in getting a fuller picture of my journey, of this journey, can please check on the website. I'm asking the question, what has stimulated all this? Now, it's one basic factor, that the current system has failed us all. Today, the 13th of April 2020, we have more deaths, far more deaths. At least we got 50 million more deaths caused by chronic medical conditions that benefit the big five financially. Okay, we all lose loved ones yearly, yet no one cries for us. Now, the stimulus for this vision has been and will continue being my personal journey. Through the valley of the shadow of chronic illnesses, I was not alone. I had a huge support system around me. Not everybody has that privilege or blessing. Okay, but before I step into a quick overview of that personal journey, okay, I want to mention that before my own personal journey, I saw loved ones fall like packs of cards to chronic illnesses that I believe could have been prevented. Now, that in itself has been a huge stimulus to succeeding in this vision. I mean, I don't need to go too far. My own father succumbed to cancer. 3 of my immediate uncles and aunts died of cancer, but I mean my mother's brothers and sisters died of cancer. My mother-in-law died of complications from diabetes. I have very close friends, and some not too close, some under the age of 40 that have died of cancer, that have died of abdominal obesity and its complications. I have people who have died of high blood pressure, and I could go on and on and on. But the common one denominator in all these cases is that they were all in the care of professional practitioners, and they were all taking more daily chemicals supplied by Big Pharma. These are guys, people who are eating more drugs than food in itself. And without us realizing it, even as we who believe we are healthy, we all eat more chemicals in the food we are ingesting. A lot of us do not realize that our daily packaged and supermarket or the processed foods, the so-called GMOs, and even some so-called organic food are all infested with glyphosate, infested with chemicals from fertilizers, infested with chemicals from fungicides, from pesticides, from herbicides. I mean, the list goes on and on. Now, in covering that, I'm going to create and make another podcast. It's going to be in the mail. It's coming to you. So this is what has created a stimulus for what I'm doing. I believe it's a criminal set of activities where we lose loved ones and nobody goes to jail. And that's not our intention. We don't put people behind the bars. However, we want to get out of jail. So coming down to my personal reference, the main stimulus for this vision is that I was wrongly diagnosed by at least 3 medical practitioners from symptoms exhibited. I mean, I was being diagnosed based on symptoms rather than taking the time to analyze my health on the root causes. And as a result of the symptoms that were picked up, I was subsequently put on a cocktail of antidepressants which did not work. And I was on those antidepressants as an outpatient. So they didn't work. So I had to be admitted twice into a specialist private clinic. I mean, its medical services are quite expensive. I had to pay $300 per day over 2 periods, of which the first was 2 weeks and then the next was 3 weeks, in order to get better care. My insurance would not pay for the first admission. I wasn't covered in that respect. So here I pay $300 per day to sleep in a hospital hotel so that I can attend in-house therapy and be monitored to take toxins, to take chemicals. I had to be monitored, okay? So for almost 2 years, I was on more drugs than food. I was on more drugs than the food that I was eating, as my health plummeted, as it deteriorated, to the point where my liver and organs were getting severely compromised and could well have started failing me. So this is why I'm saying we need a new system in order for us to achieve optimal health. We need a new reference point, a new reality for us to have success in optimal health. It is so bad, even the food we eat, which which those of us who take health and nutrition very seriously, the food we eat is severely compromised, like I mentioned earlier on. And we have been told, or we know through Hippocrates, I believe, that let thy food be thy medicine. We believe in that. But that is no longer true, even of organic food. It's no longer true. So what do we need? We need a successful system, something different that is in our own control. So in my own case, I had to decide that no more. Until I decided no more, until I realized that I was not yet rock bottom, and that rock bottom could actually mean a failed liver, or it could mean cancer. Until I got to that point, I cut off all toxic chemicals and started a journey towards recovery. Now, I'm saying this to say, to buttress this point, until we decide to make a change, we will not get the success that we want. Until we decide that we have to do something about our health. If we don't do that, we'll become a statistic. Until we decide to change our health status, okay? If we don't do that, just like other below 40-year-olds, now the age is decreasing. Below 40-year-olds are succumbing to chronic illnesses and dying, even the ones who have a specialist looking after them. And if we don't change that narrative, we will lose a generation to ill health. So in my own case, I decided to make a study of my health. Now here's the thing. Like one of my mentors, Sean, says, if you really want something, you should make a study of it. So it's like if you don't necessarily have a blueprint for a successful relationship, then what do? Make a study of it. If you're not doing well with your finances, what do? Make a study of it. If you're not doing well with your health, and more than 70% of the world is not doing well with their health, so what should we do? We should make a study of it. So for me, what was that? What I had to do was I researched people who had chronic illnesses. I checked on what they did. I dug into research mode. I researched on nutrition, on supplementation. I researched on how chronic illnesses can be reversed, on how a very chemically toxic body can be made whole again. I did that. And like one of my mentors, okay, I'm also a big student of lexicon, and the word or the noun decision is from the Latin word, which is de, two words, de cade, which means literally to cut off from, and de there means off, and cade means to cut off. So basically, when you make a decision, you are meaning to cut off from, and that is what I had to do, and that is what I did. So I made a real decision about my health, and there were 5 things that I had to do in getting to that point. Number 1, I needed to think critically, and I needed to think out of the box, out of conventional thinking. I needed to change my consciousness and to rewire my subconsciousness. That's the first thing I did. Secondly, I needed to research on an alternative, okay? Because what I was using, what I was living on, what I was being socialized in wasn't working for me. And then thirdly, I needed to stop taking the petrochemicals that were making me more chronically ill and chronically sick. Instead of restoring my health, I was getting worse. I was degenerating. That's the third thing I had to do. And the fourth thing I had to do I needed to adopt a new therapy in order to reverse my liver fibrosis. I was liver fibrosis patient, and I came to that point because I progressively came to that point due to being heavily toxic from all the petrochemical nonsense that I was living off. Like I said, I was eating more drugs than food itself. And the last thing I did was that once I had decided on an alternative therapy than the one I was currently using, the one I was socialized in from when I was a kid, the same system that we are all trained in, I then needed to biohack myself because no one will do it for me. I started making small incremental nutritional changes, started making some diet and lifestyle changes in order to make small improvements in my health and my general well-being. So what I did was I decided that I was not going to get worse with my health. So I cut away the possibility of anything else but that one thing I so desired, getting well again. Now, that was my success goal. So I decided no matter what, I'm going to get well. And that became literally my obsession. It became what consumed me. However, before I got to that reawakening point, I had gone on this guilt trip, like a lot of us subconsciously do. Okay, in my mind, I kept asking myself, why me? Why has this happened to me? Why won't somebody help me, even though I had a good support structure around me? But nobody comes to help you when you are on your own. It's something you have to dig deep down into to get yourself out of that rut. I had a lot of friends who are medical specialists, trained in the best practices, and I realized none of them could help me. Not because they didn't want to help me, okay? It could be more to do with the fact that they were not equipped based on their medical training to help me. They were not equipped in matters of nutrition and health lifestyle choices, okay? And they were not equipped in helping me change my current health narratives without getting me more toxic with more chemicals. Those chemicals were not working. So I was really playing this victim role. And it wasn't until I said to myself, enough is enough. It wasn't until I actually decided to get well that everything changed. I had to decide. I had to make a decision, an obsession to get a desired result. I took a decision to change my current realities at that point in time. I took a decision to effect the course that I wanted and not to have to wait for an effect to make a cause for me. That is the messed up system that we are socialized in, the effect and cause system. I decided to cut off from any other possibility. Now, optimal health and recovery became my obsession. Yes, it did. My thoughts and feelings were dominated by these persistent ideas, images, and desires to get my health back. Surely, recovering one's health cannot be seen as a negative. That's in terms of success. So, my mental state had to completely change because I had no alternative if my wish to succeed, to get my health back, was to be given 100% chance. My mental state had to change. Now, here's the thing. Most of us never do that with our bodies. We don't do that with our health, with our relationships. It becomes mostly a case of, I'll see what happens. After all, I'm taking these new drugs. I'm attending this therapy session with the best specialist that money can buy. Now, that becomes wishful thinking. It's out of your control. You've given the control into the hands of the specialist because you're thinking, surely they know what is best for me. They know what is best for my body, what is best for my health. Now, that is not correct. Okay. Now, these specialists, and I must say this, they are genuinely one of the best out there. Medical doctors especially. Almost 100% of them ventured into the medical field because of a genuine interest to save lives. However, they were unfortunately fed and plugged into a curriculum, into a syllabus for over 7 years of them being in medical school that was written by who? Big Pharma. Okay? Big Pharma sells drugs. Big Pharma has an agenda. Big Pharma has a personal interest to protect. They have an interest to protect the interest of their billionaire shareholders. It's a big industry. Now, Big Pharma is about to hit the 1.4 trillion or 1.6 trillion yearly income. Now, with the COVID-19 pandemic, that is going to be escalated, or rather, it's going to be exceeded beyond the 1.4 trillion per year. So what they've created is that, yes, we need more clients to use our drugs. So we need more people globally to get infected. I just saw a clip somewhere where it was a joke about Bill Gates. He created, or Microsoft created, viruses so you can have antiviruses bought on their platform, and they became billionaires in that respect. Now, what if what we are facing today, COVID-19, is a virus created by man to generate untold wealth through the deployment of vaccines? They wanted to kickstart their profit making. So the idea was to get people sick, to get them to depend on them more. Okay? So we keep in the helpless victim mentality. Okay, we keep giving the drugs we are prescribed another try. We say, okay, let's give it another 3 months, another 4 months, another 6 months, and we don't get any better. And then we visit another specialist. Remember what I said in my podcast on stress? I mentioned that by the time you see a specialist, you have already been diagnosed with a significant illness. At that point in time, when you see a specialist, you have a chronic illness. The specialist never sees healthy people. But guess who sees healthy people? The frontline man, the medical doctor. Remember that I gave a fact that 90 to 95% of visits to a family physician are in reality stress related. Most of the reasons why we visit a physician is related or are related to stress. Now, we are on the point, okay, where I said to myself, we need to decide the outcome we want. I said to myself, the outcome I want is success. That's success with my health, okay? That's what I decided. So in that space, if I go see another specialist, another few specialists, and yet there was no improvement, then what do? That's what happened in my case. I went to see other specialists, and there was no improvement. I began to see myself constantly losing appetite. I lost my energy. I wasn't able to play golf again due to chronic muscle, joint pains, and stiffness. I had impaired memory and concentration. I had constant headaches. I began to bloat my trunk, abdominal bloating. I had sexual dysfunction. Of course, listen to my podcast on sex. I spent time to explain why we will be victims of sexual dysfunction if we have abdominal obesity. So yes, I had sexual dysfunction. I was literally a bag of highly toxic, decomposing flesh. I'm being prepared for a total breakdown. At that point, I decided that I really needed to do something. I needed to get up and do something about my health so I could recover myself. My marriage was beginning to suffer. My kids were a distant element with me because I became a social recluse. I was moody, grumpy. I'm grumpy and literally living like a hermit. I was keeping within myself. So I had gone through the whole guilt trip, gone through the whole pity party of why me, and really playing this victim role, which was constantly in my mind. However, it wasn't until I actually decided to get well that everything changed. And most of us, like I mentioned, never do that with our bodies, with our health, our relationships, or with our finances. It's mostly like, I'll see what happens. I'll go see my doctor. I will take more of those pills or change them for the other ones that were recommended to me. Or it could be a state where we are just plain wishful thinking. I'll give this a try. However, when you really decide something, when you make it a decisive decision, you're cutting away the possibility of anything else but that thing you decide on. And I'm a very analytical person as well. And so what I did, I put together a plan and I decided now it's time to do something. So I went on this incredible path of discovery. I put a plan together, and that plan required 5 specific things. Okay, and success is a thing of the mind. It stems from the mind. Your subconsciousness needs to be renewed. You need to reprogram your mind. You need to create in yourself a new set of neurons. You need to create for yourself a new set of software, reboot and regenerate your hardware. And that is why I put a plan together. And that plan required 5 specific things. Now, I'm going to start running up on this particular podcast. This is the podcast on success. Okay, it's going to be the part A. I'm going to have a part B to close up on this particular series on my 9 pills, which creates the foundation. So please check the part 2, and it's going to be the final part on the Success Pill Foundation series. The objective is to make health success as our new DNA, to make it not just we being genetically influenced, but we live above the genes. We live in an area, a level or an aura of epigenetics. And this has to become our obsession. It has to become our new subconsciousness. It needs to become our new personal reality. It needs to then become our new personality. We will, through the synthesis pills, rewire our minds for optimal health success so we can achieve what we want, be it in wealth, we can own whatever we want to own, be it in health, we can achieve the health status that we so desire. The choice remains with us. The control is in our hands, no longer in the hands of Big Pharma. Okay, so the 5 specific things that I have to plan and put together are the ones I have highlighted here. I'm going to start the next podcast on this particular 5-point plan, which is to research, to develop, to reprogram, execute, and to belong. These were the 5 steps that I took, which I call the 5 success paths to optimal health. Okay, and when we get to embrace and see what these 5 steps are, then we'll understand that optimal health is not a myth. It's something we can achieve because we are reprogramming our subconsciousness. It's as simple as that. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to close on the success pill, and I'm going to title this pill 009A, Get Rich, Get Successful, Get Healthy, or Die trying. Okay, that's the part A in the 9th pill in this system. So we've completed the part A in this particular series, success A. The next part, the next bit we're going to do is success B. I very much appreciate that you've stayed this long to listen to this podcast. There is still just one last podcast to complete, and to complete this synthesis series in the 9-pill system. Please look out as GMASH Speaks brings to a close the foundation of the 9th pill in the synthesis toolbox kit. There will be the final podcast to bring this success pill to a close, and I'll most likely title this one 009B Success is Health, or something like that. Please stay tuned. In the meantime, please check my website www.gmashspeaks.com, and or you can check www.georgemashigo.com, and you can also stay with my YouTube channel for other similar podcasts. Thank you so much. This is Easter Monday, the 13th of April 2020. Keep safe, keep your social distance, observe all protocols, and keep healthy. God bless. Thank you so much.